All right. Well, according to Gallup's new Mood of the Nation, a poll released yesterday, 58% of the people polled, according to Gallup, are dissatisfied with the current level of immigration to the United States. The new survey's dissatisfaction level is an 8% increase from a similar Gallup poll last year. Of those who said they were dissatisfied in the latest poll, 35% said they want immigration into the country to decrease, while only 9% said it should increase. The new poll showed Republicans especially unhappy with immigration. A record high 87% of Republicans said they're dissatisfied with the current level. That's not a surprise. A large majority of those Republican respondents said they would like to see immigration decreased. Also not a surprise. There was an increase in the dissatisfaction level among respondents who identified as politically independent. That's a little bit of more of a surprise. Usually it's the independents and the Democrats who are either happy with immigration, want to assist immigrants, want to see better immigration policies, but it seems like the independents are a little unhappy with immigration as well. Perhaps, it's a lot of stress on people these days because of COVID and lockdowns and the great resignation, people quitting their jobs, a lot of upheaval.
Yeah.
There's a lot of upheaval in the world because of COVID.
Yeah.
And it stresses people. And I think that when people get stressed, they always like to point outwardly to say, my problem is somebody else, is because of somebody else, rather than ever looking inwardly and saying my problem lies with me. My problem lies with my situation. And that's just human nature, unfortunately. I wish more people, there's very few people who can be self-aware and be like, my problems, my unhappiness, my stress level, my anxiety is because of my situation. It's your fault. Your fault. Always got to look for somebody else.
That's why you need a therapist. That's why
right. But everybody always looks for somebody else. It's your fault. So I think because we're in, just as a society in general, at a high level of stress and anxiety, people are looking to find a reason for it. It's very easy to blame immigrants, immigration. That's the problem with our country. I mean, the reality is, statistically, employers are looking for jobs. Okay, they're looking for people to work. We have high inflation right now. Partly, a great part of our high inflation results from the fact that we can't get goods to stores. We can't get things shipped from one place to another. There's bottlenecks everywhere. There's shortages of goods everywhere. And that's a lack of people to be able to work to move goods from one place to another. That's usually the job of immigrants. They're the ones who are the truckers. They're the ones working in shipyards and warehouses and things of that nature. So, the statistics don't bear out that immigration should be lower.
Right.
The statistics bear out that immigration should be higher, if anything. But people are stressed out in their life. And you always need to blame somebody else for your problems. Scapegoat, exactly. I mean, that's history of the world. One group scapegoats another for their problems.
Absolutely.
I wish is there a way that we can get people to be more self-aware? Watch Bradshaw Live?
Honestly, that's the only way. Because, like you said, that's in history. We just don't. We don't take responsibility for or accountability for
So the moral to this entire story, with a majority of Americans being more anti-immigrant, want less immigration, including independents and moderates, the moral to the story is, I don't believe there's going to be immigration reform when you have a Congress that doesn't want to change the immigration laws to begin with. And then number two, you have a majority now of Americans
that are dissatisfied
with immigration, requesting less immigration, where when you pass an amnesty, you know what you get when you get an amnesty? You get more immigration, not less. So I don't see that as a real possibility. So the moral to the story that everybody watching who has an immigration issue is, in my belief, the laws are not going to change, or if they do, it'll change on the edges, but not like a major overhaul of immigration law. I don't see it happening, especially now that we see, the mood of the country.
Right.
So deal with the immigration laws that we have, and deal with trying to resolve your immigration problems within the framework of the laws that we have now. I think that's the moral to the story. And another survey, that was published yesterday by the U.S. Immigration Policy Center at the University of California, San Diego. It's a seventh edition of the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrival surveys. A 2021 survey results show that gains made possible through the program are now vulnerable. DACA is a critical lifeline for hundreds of thousands of people. We know that. Over 800,000 young men and women, and now they're not necessarily so young anymore. Mm-hmm. All right, maybe they enjoyed the halftime show because they're from,
from that era.
They're from that era because DACA recipients had to be under 30 years old in 2012. Mm-hmm. So now some DACA recipients could be coming in close to 40.
Yeah.
They're not. It's not deferred action for childhood arrivals. It's deferred action for people who've been here a long freaking time.
Right.
Think about it, right?
That's very true.
It's not children anymore.
Yeah.
They should change the name of the program to, deferred action for people who've been here a long freaking time. DAPFWA. We should start calling it DAPFWA. Deferred action for people who've been here a long freaking time.
Yeah.
So, an overwhelming 91% of the DACA recipients. So people always say it's for young people. It's not anymore.
Right.
It's really for people who've been here a long time. Mm-hmm. And also, newly arrived young people don't get it. Don't get to be in DACA anymore because you had to have been physically here in 2007.
Right. So
DACA has been... They've argued out DACA for so long, it's no longer deferred action for childhood arrival. I mean, yes, you arrived as a child, but everyone's an adult.
Almost in their 40s.
Yeah. An overwhelming 91% of respondents, DACA recipients, reported concerns about either their own or their family's physical safety, ability to access healthcare, education, food security. Everyone on DACA, stress level is high for them. Anxiety is high for them. All right, anxiety is high for everybody who has an immigration problem. 40% of DACA recipients reported that at least once a day they think about being detained in an immigration detention facility. I wonder if we took a survey of people who are undocumented who've been here for the same amount of time, since 2007. Mm-hmm. You have to be here since 2007 for DACA. There's a lot of people who've been here since 2007 but didn't arrive as a child, arrived when they were 18, 19, 20 years old, 22 years old, 24 years old. They've been here the same amount of time. I wonder what their survey would look like. Do they wonder about getting removed and deported on a regular daily basis? Among those with children, DACA recipients who now have children, 68% reported that they think at least once a day about being separated from their children.
Oh, man.
68% report not being able to, also concerned about not seeing their children grow up. 8 out of 10 DACA recipients are currently employed. 12% have now obtained professional licenses, doctor, lawyer, dentist, other professional licenses that they would never have received had it not been for DACA. Mm-hmm. And respondents' average hourly wages since they have obtained DACA have increased from $10.94 an hour to $22.90 an hour. So people on DACA have doubled their wages. Among respondents currently in school, 52% reported that their increased earnings help pay for tuition. And among respondents with children, 37% reported that their increased earnings helped care for their children. So, I don't know what's going to happen with DACA. But with this mood of the country and with, the deadlock in Congress, I don't even know if they could. I mean, there's not too many people that you come across who say, you know what, you DACA people should go home.
Right.
Almost everybody you come across, even in Republicans, Democrats, everybody universally agrees DACA recipients should be able to live here for the rest of their lives.
I agree.
Can't seem to get it done. Can't seem to get it done. And according to the Department of Homeland Security, the last several hundred Afghan evacuees who have been living on domestic military bases are finally expected to depart. Installations over the weekend, marking an end to a months-long operation to resettle tens of thousands of Afghans. The Biden administration used 8 Defense Department installations to support the resettlement. There are still around 2,800 Afghans at so-called lily pad locations overseas that the U.S. used to process evacuees prior to their arrival to the United States and right around the time the U.S. evacuated Afghanistan. But at least we're glad to see that at least of the Afghans who were able to successfully leave and get evacuated, that they are now almost all resettled.
That's good.
And poor pumpkin. Do we keep doing? Should we even? Can you even put the word "poor pumpkin"?
No, I've never heard that.
Neither he is poor monetarily or poor in the sad sense.
Yeah.
But maybe he's in his king-size bed with Melania right now and his silk pajamas. Is that making you nauseous thinking about
absolutely.
it? His silk pajamas, the pumpkin.
I'm sure it makes Melania
he just got informed today that the Trump organization's accountant, Mazars, if I'm pronouncing it right, they said that their last 10 years of financial statements are no longer accurate.
Ooh.
And these are the financial statements that Trump used to get his loans, to assess his financial stability in all of his dealings with the banks. So why is poor Pumpkin crying right now? And this is all because of the litigation. The district attorney in New York State is looking into whether Trump inflated his asset base to basically defraud banks into giving him better terms and loans, thinking that he had more money and more assets than he had, and then reducing the same exact assets for tax purposes to reduce his tax liability. So one set of books went to the IRS, and a different set of books went to the banks for him to reassess his loans and do banking and get loans and lines of credit and things of that nature, which he used all of this bank leverage to go buy more stuff.
Right.
And make himself richer. So apparently now, based on all of these investigations, his accounting firm said, oh, wait a second, none of these financial documents are right. So why? Because they're looking to, it's called save your own ass. Right? So they said, oh, we've looked at this all over again, and maybe we weren't accurate. So we just want to say everything that we've given Trump in the last 10 years, none of it's accurate. You can't use it for anything.
Wow.
So why does this affect Trump? I mean, the first thing you would think about would be, oh my gosh, they have him now on some criminal liability. I mean, the reality is maybe yes, maybe no, because you don't know how off these financial records were these financial records used to get a loan, how much did Trump know in terms of what went into these financial records, what he knew, what he didn't know, did he purposely do something, did he unintentionally? None of that we know. So we don't know if this will end up being criminal. But what we do know is this, why I say poor Pumpkin.
Why?
He has no financial documents to deal with the banks anymore. What bank is going to lend him money, give him a line of credit, or do any business with him? He doesn't have an accurate set of financial records to go into a bank. You walk into a bank, Jonathan, and you say, you know what? I have my apartment, up in Harlem, if you own it, and you say, you know what? I want to refinance my here's my taxes, here's my financial documents, and here's a letter from my accountant saying everything I'm giving you is not accurate. It's absolutely not accurate. They're going to say, you and your documents, get the heck out of our bank. But that's what they're going to say with Trump now. He has no financial documents to go do anything. What bank could conceivably give him loans and lines of credit if he doesn't have an accurate set of books for the last 10 years?
I always feel like he's going to find a way, though.
I don't know what he's going to do. That's what I thought of.
Yeah.
Who's going to do business with him? And the family of Sandy Hook victims reached a 73, Sandy Hook, that's where the young man went on a rampage and killed all those 5 and 6 and 7-year-old kids back in Connecticut about
that was 2002.
2012 maybe. Yeah, they killed 20 kids, 6 staff members. A total of 26 people were killed in Newton, Connecticut. So the gun that was used was an AR-15. That's one of those one of those crazy, what purpose does it serve?
Right.
And 26 people died. It was an AR-15 semi-automatic that was manufactured by a company called Remington Arms. Now, there was a lawsuit brought by the families of the victims, of all the parents of these children, plus, I guess, the families of the 6 teachers and school aides who also died. And this has been going through the courts for a decade. And the problem with the lawsuit is there's a federal law that was signed during George Bush's era in 2005 that prohibits you from filing a lawsuit against a gun manufacturer if a gun is used in a crime. So it basically shielded all gun manufacturers from any liability for having their gun, which is a dangerous weapon, used in a crime. Because the cigarette companies, if you go back to cigarettes, for example, they got litigated to, I use the word ironic, litigated to death because they killed a lot of people's cigarettes until eventually, they paid out their victims, hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars. So George Bush and the Republicans in 2005 said, we don't want gun manufacturers we don't want litigants and lawyers to do to the gun manufacturers what litigants and lawyers did to the cigarette companies for producing a dangerous product. So they said, guns are no longer a dangerous product. You can't sue them because there's a law, guns are not a dangerous product. But there was a loophole in the law. And the loophole, because there were smart lawyers out there, the loophole was that, not that the Remington, I'm calling it Remington Steel, that was a private investigator from Arms. Television. Remington Arms. Not that Remington Arms sold a dangerous product, but the loophole was you can sue a company in state court, not in federal court, if they marketed the gun, the unsafe product, to be used in an unsafe manner.
Or how'd they do that?
So Remington guns, they were putting their guns in ads in video games. They were, where people are rat-tat-tat-tang everybody. They had advertisements up that, if you own this gun, you can now be a man. And their marketing was so reckless, was so extraordinarily reckless, and meant to convince young men and people who are mentally ill that they can be, couch renegades. That was the actual term that was used by the judge, that these people are sitting on a couch and they want to be renegades now, and you're marketing them to say, yeah, you can go out there and kill everybody. That was basically what their advertising was. Look how quick these guns shoot off. And so eventually, after 10 years, 10 years in litigation, there was a $33 million settlement offered in July 2021, which was turned down. And eventually, now in 2012, right before the case was going to go to trial, they settled for 2022, excuse me. In February 2022, they're now settling for $73 million. So as part of it, it's not just money. It's not just money, by the way. As part of it, the settlement required the Remington Arms to provide all of their marketing material that they used as to show the world what they were doing. They were really trying to market this to people to say, look, you can go kill anybody you want with this thing. So in this particular case, Remington Arms gave out $73 million and they're now in bankruptcy.
Oh, they are?
Yeah,
good.
As a result of this. So there's laws now in California.
Wow.
There's laws pending in New York State that's going to allow litigants to sue gun manufacturers in those states too. So perhaps that in this particular instance, it's not going to be our elected officials who try to get guns under control, but it's going to be our lawyers and our personal injury attorneys who do it, because they're going eventually, these gun manufacturers are going to say, listen, if we don't market these guns in a proper and ethical way, we're going to be out of business, just like Remington Arms.
Right.
So people always say, in law, oh, you ambulance chasers, you lawyers are a bunch of ambulance chasers. We got to stop them, limit the amount of money, that litigants can make. But the reality is, tort law, which is negligence law, is there for a reason. And the reason that negligence law and tort law and things of this nature, where you get to sue gun manufacturers and take their money, is it's to force people to be reasonable in what they do. And it's to force people not to be negligent. It's to force people to act in a way that won't hurt other people. So when you have the threat of litigation and losing money, people will act differently.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Even in driving a car.
Yeah.
Right? So, or if you own a home, for example. Okay, just think about all the things that we do to make the world safer because we're scared we're going to get sued. That's the whole idea behind negligence law, is to force people to act safer. Let's go back to your apartment in Harlem. Okay, it snows. Somebody falls on your sidewalk. They're going to sue you.
They're going to sue you.
Guess
so
what? You're going to make sure it's salted and nobody's falling on it. Okay, so it's the same thing. And more litigation. Sarah Palin, she lost her lawsuit against the New York Times.
Oh.
Yeah. Poor her.
Right.
Poor Sarah Palin. Poor Sarah and poor Pumpkin, right?
Pumpkin.
They prevailed. Back several years ago, the backstory of all of this is several years ago, the New York Times editorial page published a editorial that accused, amongst other things, of Sarah Palin causing the shooting of Representative Giuffre back in Arizona years ago. Congressman Giuffre got shot in the head. And the New York Times said because Sarah Palin's promoting guns and gun violence and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And they said something that probably wasn't true, and then they changed it 6 hours later.
Right.
And under the laws in anywhere for libel, when you are a public figure, you have to show that it was done with malice, with intent. Malice is intent to hurt somebody. That you intentionally wanted to hurt this person. And why is that level so high against a public figure? If this was, they published it against Joe Schmo, for example, Joe Schmo could have won that case. But because Sarah Palin's a public figure, you have to prove with malice that you not only intentionally did it, but you intentionally did it to hurt the person. And why is it such a high level? Such a high level because the law considers, well, if you're a public person, you can get on your own soapbox and counter it. You have a loud megaphone yourself.
Yeah, you do, but then when the followers don't believe you because they're reading it off the papers.
But that's why that's public discourse. It's for one group. You can go and make your arguments too. You stand on your soapbox and argue. Now, you may agree with Sarah Palin in this case.
I would.
All right, Sarah Palin says I shouldn't have to go on my soapbox and argue that what they said was incorrect.
Yeah.
All right, they said something incorrect. They owe me money. Period. I shouldn't have to go stand and go on Fox News and CNN and plead my case and say why it's not.
I agree.
And she wants the law to change, so she actually brought this lawsuit because she intends to appeal it all the way up to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And my guess is this. Jonathan. See, I thought you were a liberal. All right, because this is a conservative position, very conservative position. My guess is that she's going to lose all the way up until the Supreme Court, and then the Supreme Court's going to overturn the law.
Oh, wow.
That's my guess. But that will be years and years and years down the line. And, of course, the United States has reported 77.9 million coronavirus cases, not including all the home tests.
Right.
Not including all the home tests. New York City, by the way, yesterday they fired more than 1,400 workers who failed to comply with its COVID-19 vaccine mandate. That represents less than 1% of the 370,000 person city workforce. Educators and first responders were not spared. The total includes 36 New York Police Department personnel, 25 Fire Department personnel, 914 education staffers. Mayor Eric Adams lauded city workers for their willingness to get vaccinated in large numbers, referring to the get stuff done theme he has reportedly stressed since taking office. And speaking of people who are giving up their livelihood, Novak Djokovic. He was, remember the whole incident in Australia Open, and he wasn't allowed to enter into Australia, and he's the reigning champion of the Australian Open. He has other than Serena Williams, has as many Grand Slams as anybody in the history of the world. He wouldn't get vaccinated. Well, now he needs to be vaccinated to go to the UK for the Wimbledon.
Is he going to do it?
And he needs to be vaccinated to come to the US for the US Open in August.
Is he going to do it?
And he says no, he's not.
Wow.
So he said he's going to give up Wimbledon and the US Open for his principle of not getting vaccinated.
But does he understand that I don't think that rule is ever going to, I don't think they're going to change that rule. I feel like they're going to always say you're going to have to be vaccinated in order to play in this. Yes,
and he's also, by the way, he's going to miss the French Open too. That's the French Open first, then Wimbledon, but he won't be allowed in the US either. But I just find that absolutely ridiculous.
That's crazy.
Because he's giving up so much, not only just in terms of money, endorsements, his own celebrity, but so many people root for him, and
he doesn't care.
He doesn't care about any of that. And the fact is, Jonathan, statistically, you look around the world. I don't know how many people got vaccinated. Hundreds and hundreds of millions of people.
Right.
We're all here still.
Yeah.
We're all here, Novak.
He's gonna end up caving in.
In other words, we're all here. What are you seeing that everybody else is not seeing? We're all still here.
That's wild,
right?
That's wild.
We're all still here. Brooklyn Nets guard Kyrie Irving, he did the same thing. He gave up $381,000 per game not to get vaccinated.
That's wild.
Is that crazy? And by the way, Prince Charles tested positive for COVID. Right?
I don't really care about that.
BFD, big freaking deal.
Yeah.
Right?
Don't care about that.
And Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced a crackdown on truckers and other protesters who are still clogging the roadways. But we got to get to our tea. Do we have any tea? My throat hurts me.
Yes. I wonder what kind we have.
I don't know. We have music.
Yeah, we got music.
We have music.
Oh.
And we have... What do we have here today, sir?
You have J-Ron's here today. No, you have caramel, honey, and vanilla.
Whoa.
But this is a new one.
New one.
Is it mixed in together?
Handpicked it myself.
Really?
Really?
Where do you go for this tea? Do you have like a special tea store?
Yeah.
You do?
A specialty or a special tea?
Either one. Special tea or special tea?
It's the tea of your imagination.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very
you.
much.
Here we go.
All right.
so much.
Thank you. You did a wonderful job, Jeremy.
Oh, look.
Yes.
You do
And a
wonderful job every
spoon.
day, sir.
Thank you very much.
Even have
Your
a
compliments
spoon.
get you everywhere, Jeremy. He gave us a nice
Ooh,
spoon wrapped
I know.
up. Very hygienic.
Right. Thank
Right.
you.
Very high. What do we need the spoon for? There's nothing.
don't know.
There's nothing to mix.
Yeah. It's the look.
It's just a look. Cheers.
Cheers.
What do you think? You taste the vanilla, right?
Taste the vanilla and the honey.
I like it.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. Don't you love stopping the show completely?
This is great.
This is great. Cheers, everybody. All right, so let's see what's happening in our tea time.
All right.
22 Super Bowl halftime show, Jonathan.
LA represented.
Yes.
West Coast.
All right, 50 Cent. He hung upside down.
He did.
Just like he did in the video. Eminem took a knee.
Mm-hmm.
He claims, this is my thing with Eminem taking a knee.
What?
The NFL endorsed him to take a knee, you know, because he was trying to give homage
To Colin
to
Kaepernick.
Colin Kaepernick. Okay, and I, you know, listen, I'm all in favor of all of that. Okay, but really, and I'm being honest with you, how is this a form of protest or resistance if you ask, quote unquote, the man, whoever the man is, at the NFL, permission to do it?
I don't think he did.
Yes, he did.
He
The
did?
NFL says they knew all about it. So to me,
They said they knew about it.
yeah, they knew about it. So the NFL said they didn't want it first, but then they agreed to do it. An NFL spokesman said the league did not try to stop Eminem from kneeling. We watched all the elements of the show during multiple rehearsals this week. We were very aware that Eminem was
Oh.
going to do this. So they had conversations about it. They went back and forth. What kind of protest is that?
What kind of protest? I mean, because it
I
still
don't-
means something.
I don't know. I think if you got to ask permission, you're not protesting anything.
I don't think he
I think
really
it's I think
asked
it's just I
permission,
think
though.
it's just a bunch of just for show.
For sure, you think?
Yeah, that's my opinion. I mean, if you really feel strongly, you want to protest and you want to say, hey, I want to make a point here.
I see what you're saying.
All right, I want to
see-
make a point, and I shouldn't have to ask anybody to do anything. Okay,
Yeah.
and
I didn't know that he.
yeah, so to me, you know, it's like they're making a big deal about this. I know, this is my opinion. They're like making a big deal about this, that he took a knee and he was, you know, honoring Colin. You know what? What kind of big deal is this? You asked for permission to do it.
Yeah, I didn't know he asked for
Yeah.
permission.
So I mean, what
Right.
kind of protest is that? That's no protest.
Yeah.
It's like baby protest. You know?
I see it both
You know
sides.
what I'm saying?
so I see it both ways.
Right. And of course, what I said yesterday. All right, the performance thrilled millennials and Gen Xers. You know, when they finally said, "Yeah, they're playing my music."
Right.
Wait a second, this is from 25
Yeah,
years ago.
right.
That means I'm my old man now,
Yep,
right?
Yep. And that was me. That definitely was me.
Yeah, they're like, wait a second, I'm not young anymore. So, and then, you know, this is, you know, really, I don't know if it's interesting or trifling or it's a combination of everything. What's going on in the Olympics,
Oh yeah.
you know, with the handling of Kamila Valieva's case.
Yeah.
She's the Russian figure skater. She was supposed
like
to.
15 or
She's
something?
15 years old. She's, you know, no question she's going to win the gold medal. She's the best of everybody, and she's was found in December, tested positive for tramdezidine.
Promethazine.
Okay, it's a drug used to treat heart flow. Now she's 15 years old.
Yeah, that's weird. Like,
She doesn't have any heart condition as a
Right.
15-year-old. But what it also does is allows oxygen to go through your system, so it allows you to perform at higher peaks for higher periods of time without getting as tired and exhausted.
that sounds
So
like
it's
an enhancement to
yeah,
me.
so it's like, you know, you're working out in the gym, you go, you know,
Yeah.
you're on the treadmill, you're figure skating, you know, you're out of breath.
Yeah.
So this thing makes you less out of breath, this drug. So it was discovered in December when she tested positive for it. but it was only 2 days before she was about to go on to the ice that it came out into the public.
Okay.
And they said, wait a second, maybe you shouldn't be doing this. You're doping.
Yeah.
This is doping. And the argument was that she's 15 years old and she's a child and she doesn't know what's going on in her body. She doesn't know what's being put in her body. She doesn't have, she's not an adult yet to make decisions on what they're doing. That's what they're saying. They're saying because it's an exceptional circumstance because she's 15 years old, she's a protected person.
It could be a 9-year-old. If a
she was not-
9-year-old
and
knew
she
that
was
they were going to
not-
do better and
she was
win.
she was not tested positive for any drugs during the Olympics. So what the Olympics have decided to do, because she didn't test positive during the Olympics, so she's not doped during the Olympics. She was doping months before. So what the Olympics has decided to do is, while they investigate all of this,
they're going to let her compete.
skate. Now, but what they said is if she wins a medal, which she's obviously going to do because she's going to win the gold, they're not going to have a ceremony because they can't give her gold medal while they're investigating this.
Wow.
So I feel very badly for all of the other figure skaters. One, those who are playing by the rules. Okay, and then what after you give up your whole life? Okay, you know what? This woman, this 15-year-old from Russia is going to win the gold. But you still give up your whole life and train for this one moment.
Right.
Maybe I'll win a silver. Maybe I'll surprise everybody and win the gold. Maybe I'll win a bronze. But I gave up my entire life and think about what you give up for this one moment in time. Like that song, This One Moment. It's like this one moment in time when the world is watching that you have trained for your entire life for this one moment in time. You win a silver, you win a bronze, you get the right to stand up at that ceremony and get that medal.
That's the most important part.
And now there is none. So you, as a silver medalist or even as a bronze medalist, you get that taken away from you.
So she also argued that her positive test was due to contamination with her grandfather's heart.
BS.
See what I'm saying?
That's
when
BS.
you're throwing out BS like that,
right?
It's because you knew what you was doing, baby girl.
That's
contamination with your grandfather's heart.
She's not saying that. That's her handlers are saying that.
That's what I'm saying. But still, they knew exactly what they were doing. I don't think it's fair.
Now, former Olympic champions Johnny Weir and Tara Lipinski, they're the announcers on NBC.
It was quiet.
They didn't say a word.
Yeah.
When she did the whole program, they just sat silently and didn't say anything.
Shady.
Yes. And then Johnny Weir said at the end of her skating routine, he says, all I feel like I can say is that was a short program of Kamila Valieva at the Olympics.
Damn.
Yeah, damn.
Yeah, that's a damn.
Yeah. Now, Tara Lipinski said, this makes me angry and disoriented by everything that I thought I knew. It makes you question everything. Like, these skaters give up their lives for this moment. Why go to this place? Why? Which is what I just said, right? And we said before Valieva's performance, if you can't play fair, then you can't play. It's my opinion on this. It's heartbreaking for many in the skating world because she's a tremendous talent. But if you don't play by the rules, then you should not be in this competition.
I agree.
But she's 15 years old.
I don't care. What is that? What is the age got to do with it?
Because this 15-year-old...
But it's enhancing her body, regardless.
I understand that, but if you're 15 years old, and you have all your trainers and everything, and they say, take this. But she's supposed to say, no, I'm not supposed to?
Absolutely. When a coach cheats, like at my high school, when the coach, we found out that he was bringing students, not even students, grown men, to pretend they were students. He was bringing them from over in Dominican Republic, and one was from Sweden. When they won the championship, years later when they found out, they took away all of their championships. Do you think they said, oh, you guys can keep your championship, but we're just going to fire the coach? No, everybody knew about it. She's going to have to suffer the consequences. Now, I don't think that she should be in this Olympics.
Now, to add to all of this controversy, you may remember Sha'Carri Richardson.
Yeah, and I don't even like her.
She was the Olympic sprinter, right? She does the 100 meters, right? U.S. women's Olympic sprinter. and she was right up there to win the gold medal, like anybody else. She was actually favored to win the gold medal. And in December, at the same time that this Russian skater tested positive for doping, she tested positive for marijuana.
Yep.
She says, yes, I did it. I smoked weed. It's because my mother passed away a little earlier, I guess that month or a month ago or 2 months ago, and she was still grieving and needed it to calm down. And she was barred from participating in the Olympics.
Yeah.
She trained for 4 years too, whether you like her or not.
Right.
Yo-Yo says you don't like her.
No.
That's fine.
But I still am on her side with this.
But maybe she's right.
She is.
Right, but why is she not there and this Russian skater got to go?
You already know what I think.
You think it's race related. I think it's a combination of. We were talking about this off the air. Yeah, Yo-Yo said it's absolutely race. I said race plays a part, absolutely. It's also 15-year-old, adult.
That 15-year-old thing, like, I really don't care about the age. Yeah. Like, if a 15-year-old goes and commits a crime and it's a bad crime, they will charge them as an adult. She is an adult when it comes to cheating. If you're cheating, that's a disqualification.
Now, I will. Let me say what Sha'Carri wrote on Twitter. Sha'Carri wrote, "Can we get a solid answer on the difference of Valieva's situation and mine? My mother died and I can't run and was also favored to place top 3. The only difference is that I see I'm a black young lady." She tweeted, "I failed in December and the world just knew about it immediately. However, my result was posted within a week and my name and talent was slaughtered to the people."
Absolutely was.
Why did this young Russian girl, why did they wait months before they came out with it?
Y'all don't want to hear me though.
No, they want to hear you.
No,
they probably
and then they like, and the way that they have been telling the story with Camila, it's almost
everybody.
like,
By the way, Squad's agreeing with you. Age has nothing to do with it.
It's got nothing to do with it. Yeah. And even if she did not know, let's just say she didn't know. Although I know she knew. I personally think that she did. Okay, I'll say that. That's my opinion. But even if she did not know, she still has to be disqualified, and she could get mad at her coaches and all them that put that in her system. And that's illegal right there, because you're drugging a minor. Okay, so if you want to go there, go there. But she should be disqualified. And Sha'Carri was smoking weed, and that is legal. Weed is legal. Although if they say in the rules that you cannot have that in your system, then that's the rules, and she should have known better. But this girl right here, this is an enhancement. It makes you perform better. Weed does not make you run faster.
Not that I'm aware of. Just makes you calm.
Yeah.
And finally, Yo-Yo and our tea.
All right.
I have a little tea left here.
Yes, I do too. It's almost done.
Prince Andrew, our pedophile prince, the pedophile prince of the UK. He settled his lawsuit for an undisclosed amount of money against his lawsuit that was filed against him by Virginia Giuffre. Now, if you remember, Virginia Giuffre was used by Jeffrey Epstein as a 17-year-old to basically have sex with many of Jeffrey Epstein and many of his friends. And Prince Andrew was one of Jeffrey Epstein's friends. The allegation is that he had sex with her when she was 17 years old, whether he knew she was 17 or not. And the allegation is he knew. Doesn't really matter. And she was suing him. And right before he was set to be deposed in this trial, all of a sudden he decides to settle the case. Now, he says he's not admitting that he did anything wrong. But I will tell you, you're not settling this case if you didn't do something wrong.
Of course.
Right? I mean, do you need me to tell you that?
No.
Did you know that, right? I mean, you're not settling this case if you really... Prince Andrew said, "I never touched this girl. I don't know what she's talking about. I'm not going to have... I'm not
you got a picture there with her.
Right. If he said, listen, I never touched this girl. I never had a sexual relationship with this girl. I I'll go to my grave
Look
saying
at his
it.
hand
If it-
around
if it
her
was-
waist,
if it-
y'all.
If he truly believed that, he was not settling. Of course he. you know,
Right.
come on. And he's going to get to retain his Duke of York.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and keep his place in the line of succession to the throne, which is now 9th.
See what I'm saying? Like this is the thing that pees me off. It's literally just because of status and his access to funds. Because if it was somebody else who did not have that, they would have been rotting in jail, which is what he should be doing. Disgusting. Nasty.
Thanks for watching. For more Bradshaw Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.